there is something that I really want to speak on and bring light to, especially at this incredibly pivotal point in my life, as I am to be married and to take on the masculine name of my husband and his ancestry, himself, in this entwined communion of our souls. I believe it is really necessary for me to speak on something that I have been deeply, deeply going through for years, for years. And it's something that I believe all of us, to an extent, can relate to in ways based on the setup of our society. And so let's just, as the masculine would do, get straight to the point. Masculine healing, masculine wounds, and the relationship within yourself with your own masculine. How that is then reflected externally. What a journey. What a journey. And so, as we have, majority of us being raised, brought up, and live in the systems that have been set up that are quite patriarchal, which means that that is masculine dominated. And now that is the age for this. That was the age. Age has just shifted. So that was the age for this. And so what the future age is it's not matriarchal, it's not patriarchal. It is this entwined balance, this harmony. It is the new age of oneness, which has always been the case, but there has been other journeys at play through the cosmos and through ourselves that have just needed to play out and ripple through us for us to evolve and to learn. And that gets me to, what I've learned, what I've been learning, and what I will continue to learn, because this journey is not over. This journey is not over, but it feels right. It feels pivotal for me to speak on it right now, because I truly believe I have just leveled up to a deeper understanding through great self-recognition, through self-awareness, through the ability to see my own self-sabotage, my own fear and anger. And so these were my main two. So we can have many different emotions towards the masculine, whether you are masculine or feminine. It's based on how you feel towards the masculine, mainly figures, so nature, nurture, father, and figures who you were raised around. In those pivotal years of 0 to 7, so it's the DNA, and then those 0 to 7 years. It is then also the masculine figures around you. Think childhood, think tween, teen, think first boyfriends, think brothers, think then obviously fathers and husbands and things of that nature. Obviously every man, I'm listing every single archetype of the masculine. So relate to it on how you will, in your own regard, based on yourself. Obviously, I was raised, let's go nurture. I was raised by a masculine who was very, very, wow, I just saw a huge eagle. How ironic. It's, no, black cockatoo. Big black cockatoo. I was about to say some kind of giant feathered father figure bird. And I was raised with a nurture that was not very nurturing, let's just say. And that was then again based on his nurturing. So you can't hold that grudge or that resentment for the figures that then raised you and how they were raised, because the cycle then continues. The domino effect then continues through the DNA. And it's up to you to be that break in the chain. Here we are having this conversation. And so the nurturing aspects of the childhood were quite strict, quite tough, quite cold, quite violent, very aggressive. very aggressive, I could say quite violent, very aggressive, and that's both verbally and physically, and the therefore intimidation, as I felt as a little girl, was terrifying. So reaction for that, counter reaction, is then fear. So there was this deeply embedded fear from a young age of the masculine that I felt start to just sink into me and into my heart. And you can actually see it physically in your body as you your body keeps a score. So your body will showcase if you are protecting your heart, protecting yourself in different manners. It each represents every single thing. And there was that aspect. Then there was obviously the nature aspect. So my genetic father, I only got to experience about 2 years with. And he himself, when he birthed me, he was in a very struggling place. He was, not in a good mental zone, struggling for the basic sort of necessities, and whether that's on his own accord and things like that, each to their own. We all have their own journeys, but nonetheless, the man's DNA, this is 2 years before he births a child, will actually affect the child, and it affected me. So there was this fear and this anger, this resentment, this struggle, and it then just reflected in, as the years went on and I grew up, my relationships and my relationship with the masculine, my unhealthy desires to feel validated, to feel wanted, to crave the strength, the strictness, and the sturdy stability of the masculine, in many different ways, just to try and truly seek out what my heart really desired, but based on the obscure beliefs within my own mind, that then veered my path on what I then experienced in reflection from the universe through other masculine figures. And now that's external, talking external. So you could say shitty boyfriends, but really, everyone's really shitty if they're saying the other person was shitty. So it's always the reflection of internal and how that's reflected external. I will then go into then saying the internal, my own masculine. So as we have masculine and feminine within us, the masculine within you is it's one half of your brain. It's one half of your body. It's Shakti and Shiva. It's Shiva. And so it is the energy within you that entwines through your chakras in a balance that harmonize you to be the divine being of love and light, of yin and yang, of masculine, feminine, that you are. And the masculine internal is your own relationship with that energy. So how you make decisions, how you create, how you are taking direction and strength. It is strength in different ways, feminine strength too, but it's truly strength, especially when it comes to muscles. Like, you're quite literally born like that. So it's that then internal energy of strengthening yourself. It's I see, I hope you get where I'm going here. It's how you feel as that direction internally. And for example, my masculine was really overextended and exhausted and overstretched and in fight or flight for many, many years. And that is through simply magnificent, beautiful, beautiful big black cockatoo. That is simply through the societal conditioning that I believed. At the end of the day, it's no one else's fault but me, that I believed. It's the societal forcing of this 9 to 5 work masculine, only valuing the masculine rather than, and deeply suppressing and raping the feminine. And it's through that energy that has been played out in so many structures, if you look from a huge worldwide perspective. That sort of energy pushed me into believing that I needed to grind, I needed to hustle, I needed to boss bitch work, and this coffee culture, overextension and overextension of the masculine. And that exhausted me. It exhausted me mentally, it exhausted me emotionally, it exhausted me physically. So that is something that I have been healing over all the last couple of years, being out here in Pachamama with the ability to just come back to the feminine and to balance my masculine back into just the sturdy, strong, a great tree that the masculine really is within myself. And then it was then working through with the deep power of awareness, accountability, meditation, meditative state, coming back to source, coming back to self, psychedelics, alone time, solitude, nature, and powerful conversations with my great teacher, Toby, my soon-to-be husband. 5 weeks, 5 weeks to the day. And I will be Mrs. McKenna. And so he has been my greatest teacher because he has been my greatest reflection, being the masculine to my feminine, being the husband to the wife, and reflecting to me, holding me. That's what the masculine does, this warrior, this protector, just holding me as I go from my Kali to my Parvati. I say, if you can't hold me, my Kali, do you deserve me in my Parvati? And honestly, Toby has lived up to that through and through and through and through the roof, to the point where I have pushed it to there is an edge of the universe, and I've pushed it to it, and Toby has held to that fullest expansion and loved me and nurtured me none the fucking less. And that is unconditional love, and that is a masculine. And that is this stable strength within self of always knowing what is right, what is the right way, what is the choice, making the step. It is there's a great sort of philosophy that explains that the finger pointing extended from the man reminded him of something. And so with those things pointing out to, I'm thinking of the great Renaissance artworks here, to the God source, what can be created? And that is exactly what the masculine is. It is pure creation. It is the stone that holds the river, the feminine, the water that rushes through. It is the ancient strength. It is the warrior. It is, oh God, I love the masculine. I have learned to love the masculine in all forms, to love the masculine and hold the masculine in all forms. So this is a huge one as well, because I was brought up around masculinity that was quite aggressive. I always felt I needed to emotionally, what's the term here? Emotionally monitor the man's emotion and keep it within a certain check. Otherwise, it's trouble. Otherwise it's the result of what the fear is. And so I then tried to do that within my relationships over the years, and it was only through like Tobes and I will be together a decade next year. It is only through deep commitment to showing up and having those harsh conversations, having those cruel truths spoken to you, to recognize that they aren't necessarily cruel at all. It is your belief that perceives the masculine in a certain light, and mine was scary, cruel, big, mean, aggressive. And therefore, I would try to monitor the masculine's energy to not go too far off the dial, to not be too wild, to not be too soft, to maintain within a comfortable space that I could then control. Obviously, that is not what the masculine is. The masculine is this, as I've mentioned, this warrior, it is God source particle, it is pure creation itself, it is Shiva. And so through actually allowing, as the masculine does for the feminine, and I expect for the feminine, to be held in my fullest, in my purest beauty, and in my darkest, ugliest truths, I therefore should and can and have learnt to hold the masculine in the exact same light, in accordance as I should. And that has healed something massive within myself, within my DNA, and I can feel it rippling out into the cosmos. And I feel like it's only through the deep recognition of my own limited beliefs that kept me within this sort of this shutter mind mode of thinking that, of course, my ego was right, that I was right, that I knew, that my perspective was the only perspective. And I think obviously that is where you stop learning. If you think you can stop learning, then what's the point? I say, may as well leave the vessel already, because we're here on this planet to learn. And through this deep awareness that I am continuously learning, it has allowed me to heal my masculine so deeply. And I think I've touched on many, many aspects that I wanted to within this video of how I have learnt to respect the masculine, to understand the masculine, to hold space for the masculine, to heal the masculine within myself, to then perceive the masculine figures within my life in such a purity and clarity and just divine love, respect, and immense, immense, immense gratitude. As I literally am going to massage Toby's shoulders and lower back tonight, because he keeps me warm at night. And as we had an argument the other day, where I came to shy and coy the next morning with deep recognition that I had to take accountability, that it was nonetheless no one's fault, but in the point of conversation and in our reality, my fault. And so taking the awareness, swallowing my pride, and sitting there and actually just speaking the truth to Tobe with respect, tongue in Kachari Mudra, and you listen and you listen to the fullest extent. And when the truth's getting spoken, make you want to viper tongue, bite out and lash out so hard, when it makes your ego want to put on its warrior vest and defend, that is the time that you bite your tongue the most, and you really realize with all lies that there is multiple perspectives. And if you have the ability to fully perceive the masculine perspective in its entirety, and then sit with it, feel with it, hold accountability, recognition, and then integrate in your own time, in your own space, with yourself, with your soul, with your masculine within, that's what it's about. If you're not doing that, what the fuck are you doing? And as our conversation ended with Toby and I having, he was quoting Shania Twain of, that don't impress me much. Like, if you can't keep me warm at night, that doesn't fucking impress me much. And he said, you used to blare that song so bitchily, and I knew you were talking about me. And now, after he said all of his beautiful personal journeys and growth and everything, he is absolutely lived through and through, embodied year after year after year, this man that keeps me warm. And so it was only fitting that I eventually reach this level of awareness and respect. And my aim is only to understand my sweet husband, the masculine, within myself, and reflect that and feel that reflected externally so deeply for the rest of my life, especially especially as we age into this divine timeline of unity, of oneness, of sacred truth, of self, of harmony, and of this divine patriarchal, matriarchal, entwined golden age that can only be reached through respect.